Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Today I am working on a double page spread featuring these photos of my kids in 2005. Yes, I still have photos from 2005 and all of the years in between to scrapbook. So I will be scrapbooking all the way up until my deathbed, apparently. These photos were taken at a bowling alley down in Southern California with my cousin and his daughter, and I am documenting their bowling adventures. So the title of my layout will be Unforgettable Bowling Adventures. And I went through some 4x6 cards to see which one I liked best in between the two 4x6 photos. I'm going to end up sticking with that green one. And the striped one that you see there has that same color green in it, and then the orange stripe in it matches my son's outfit. And the shoes that my son and my daughter are wearing have that bright pink and the green on them, and there's a photo of them with the shoes on there on the bottom right hand side. So I knew I wanted to use that. And that card has 7 steps to happiness, and it says stuff like talk less, listen more, watch less, do more, complain less, appreciate more, fear less, love more. Has a whole bunch of stuff like that. So I just thought it would be a fun card to use, and I liked that it matched the green and everything else. So I went through my papers, kind of deciding which order I want to stack them up in. I'm going to add a whole bunch of different layers there. You see all the colored paper on the right hand corner, and I decided to go with this turquoise or light aqua color paper it's a Julie netting paper, and that's going to be the first layer that's closest to the heart paper, the blue heart paper. And I'm punching it with a large scallop punch from Do Crafts, or X-Cut. I think they're actually the same company. But anyway, so 2 of my layers are going to have that scallop border, and then there's going to be several layers in between that don't have the scallop. And I'm not going to line them up all perfectly straight. They are intentionally going to be slightly wonky, and I just wanted to add a little whimsy to this layout. So that's why I did that. And I'm going to cut these into about 2.5 inch strips. The reason that I'm doing that is because I want to use some of this paper on the second page, and I don't have full sheets for all of them. So I'm going to stack them up in strips on each side of the vertical photos there. And that means there's going to be a cavern underneath my photos, so they will need to be popped up onto foam or other cardstock so that they don't get like an indentation when my pages close together in my album. And I do recognize that it could be an issue, but I know I want some of that paper left over for the other page. And since I don't have full sheets of all of it, this was really the best choice I could make. And so you will see that I pull out a bunch of black cardstock that I have in my scrap bin, and it's just like 2-inch wide borders. And I'm just going to stack those up and put them in between that, or in that cavern underneath my photos. And if I'm not explaining this well, you're going to see it in just a few moments. So hopefully it will make sense. And now I'm also intentionally cutting the border on this orangey paper from the outer 2 sides because it is kind of got a bit of an ombre effect towards the middle, and I really like that dark orange to be what I use on this side of the page. It provides more contrast than using the lighter color of the orange, so I intentionally chose the outer 2 sides of the 12 by 12 paper. So like I said, I'm putting these down wonky, and that's totally intentional. And it's going to take me a second here to get them just lined up right where I want them. And those papers, the pink, the orangey paper, and the one with the lighter of the 2 greens, are from Webster's pages. And the darker green is, I believe, a Bow Bunny double dot paper. The blue heart paper is, I want to say it is, actually I'm not sure where it's from. I got it at Joann's. It's from the Designer Destinations. So I don't know if that's helpful to you, but that's where I got it. And it's probably Maggie Holmes, because I think that was the section that I got it from. And I know it's not Jen Hadfield, and I know it's not Shamel or Paige Evans. So that's going to be my guess. It's probably Maggie Holmes. And I really love the colors on it. And the reason I chose that is these photos have a lot of blue in the background because of the way that this bowling alley is lit. And you can see it there in the photo with my son. His back is to the camera and he's in the orange. You can see a lot of blue in the background. So that's why I went with that dark blue paper. And there you see me layering up that black cardstock in between the two strips of colored cardstock so that I don't have a big cavern underneath my photos and get them all dented when my pages get put into the album. I could also have used foam, but this was cheap and easy because this was all in my scrap bin. So that's why I decided to use that. And here I am playing with where these strips are going to be. Basically, I didn't have them far enough apart and they were kind of underneath the photos, so I had to kind of play with them a little bit just to get them right where they should be. And I'm trimming off a little bit of the excess from not having them perfectly lined up when they're a little bit wonky. Some of the pieces stuck up higher than the 12 by 12 background paper. So I trimmed all of these photos down to 4 by 4, and I'm just making a 4 by or an 8 by 8 square on the right hand side. And I want those to be a little bit wonky as well. I don't want it all perfectly matchy straight. I'm going to use that same border punch on this orange paper. I did have a second sheet of this that I managed to find, and I am going to border punch two sides of this to go behind those photos. And I have a hard time doing the corners with these punches that don't have like a defined corner, so that was one reason I went with two sides. And then plus to add a little bit of whimsy, I decided to do two sides of this paper and then two sides of one of the other papers, and they are on opposite sides so that it just gives a little more texture, a little more fun to the page, but it doesn't make it so that it's got to be lined up perfect or anything like that. Now, these particular photos were taken, like I said, at a bowling alley in Southern California, and I'm basically documenting this story about my kids. Anytime we get together with my cousin and his daughter, they live in Southern California, we're in Northern California, and our girls are really close, and they spend weeks together in the summertime, and so we either visit or we trade off halfway in between. Well, we did when they were little. They're both adults now, so we don't do that anymore. But anytime we get together, we always have a really fun time. And there's kind of an ongoing joke between my cousin's daughter and her dad about, they just give each other a bad time, basically. And so when she typed in the names on the screen, she changed his name to be a nickname that she has for him, which is kind of funny. And then she typed hers in. I think she typed it in as Winner, and he went in and changed it to Whiner. So it was really funny. The kids all had a blast. They thought it was hilarious, of course. And so basically just documenting just the fun times we have with them, and how they end up, you know, goofing off and pranking on each other a little bit. So now I'm just working on getting all of these layers down, and the layer that is going to be the blue, the light blue one, is going to have that border again, as I mentioned before. Oh gosh, the back of that paper is really pretty. I wish I would have used that for something, but Yeah, it's gone now. It's on this layout. So I'm going to go ahead and punch this out, and then this paper I don't have another sheet of. So this is one that I definitely had to kind of stretch, and so I'm going to cut it into a couple strips and tuck it under around the outside of the cluster of photos there so that it looks like it's one sheet, even though it's really just 4 borders tucked under. And I didn't want to have to do that with all of the other papers or anything, but I knew I just had the one of this and I couldn't use all of it on the left-hand page, so that's why, again, I had that gap underneath my photos on the left-hand page. So now I'm just trimming these off to kind of match, and I'm going to round the corners so that the scallop meets up at a nice angle. It doesn't like cut off just in between. It kind of leaves that rounded corner, and that's what you just saw me doing there. And I'm going to do the same on the top and the right hand side. Although those are going to be straight, I'm just going to have to match up the corner where it meets the scallop so that it doesn't look like the straight edge is sticking out underneath or on top. Now this is the back side of one of the Webster's Pages papers, and I really like this green butterfly. So I'm going to cut out that, and then I'm going to pull 2 other ones from the rest of the sheet. And those are going to be kind of the landing spot for each of my embellishment clusters. And then off to the side of my desk, I had this package that I got from one of the ladies in the Secret Not Secret Kit Club when we went to retreat last year. She was my secret sister, and she had bought me this little package of artsy embellishments. And all of these kind of came in this embellishment pack. And it was sitting here, and I thought it was high time I used it, and the colors were just perfect. So I went ahead and pulled a bunch of bits and pieces from that, and I'm going to use those as my embellishments. And now I am pulling out some thickers. These are going to create my title. I'm just putting the word bowling, which is very simple, but then in the gold foiled words from that Artsy pack, you can see them up at the top of my screen. There are the words Unforgettable and Adventures. So my title in full is going to be Unforgettable Bowling Adventures. But I really wanted the bowling to pop, and I thought this was the best blue thicker that I had to match that background paper, and I really like it on top of that lime green. I think it really pops nice and makes it kind of a bold statement. So there are the other 2 words. I'm going to pop those up onto foam to give a little dimension and keep them the same thickness as the word bowling is, because those are also foam thickers. And I think it's a really clean look, but it's also fun. So that is why I decided to go ahead and go with that. And this is just fun foam from Walmart, super cheap. Adhesive on one side, and then you've got to add your own adhesive. It's a little bit difficult to get your tape runner, or at least the ATG gun, to stick to it all the time, so oftentimes I will use liquid adhesive. You can get your ATG gun to work, but sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get the adhesive to actually stay on the foam and not just stay on your ATG gun. So I'm popping up the 3 different embellishment areas, and then these additional words that are from that same package as the gold words, I am putting underneath the embellishment area next to my son standing with his back to the camera. So usually I layer things up, and I like little clusters like that, which I will do in the other 2 areas, but for this particular cluster, the one that's in the middle, I just really liked the words underneath, kind of like a signpost would be. and that's what it reminds me of, and I really liked how it looked, so that's what I went with. And then all of the colors matched just perfectly to the background papers that I had chosen, even though they're from two totally different companies. And then I pulled out a little bit more of the gold elements to put into each of the three different cluster embellishment clusters. Pardon me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. So the words that are underneath that center one that I'm working on right now just says my happy place, summertime, and memories. And I thought that was perfect because that is exactly what it is, summer, and they just love all being together, and they always have a great time, lots of laughs. And then the one on the right hand side with the green butterfly is going to say endless summer. And the one next to the title, the square piece says us on it, and then it says there's going to be a green banner under it that says enjoy the little things, and then that little round pink one says heart this. And they're just cute pieces and match perfectly. And then I'm going to take some more of the foam dots that are in the not the embellishments, the thicker package. So the dots like the eyes or the periods, and I'm going to put a couple of those in each of the embellishment areas as well. And that's just going to tie the title back over to those areas and draw it across to the second page. I'm also cutting up a little bit of this thinner foam that I got from a friend of mine. I don't know where it came from. I just know she has quite a large stash of it. And I am putting those kind of on the edge of the pieces that are hanging off of the photo areas. And that's because there's so many layers of paper under those photos that it is making my embellishments a little bit wonky. Like they would stick to the area that is on the photo or on the paper layers, but anything that was hanging over on the edge where the background paper is was not sticking. It was making it tilted. So using this thinner foam to kind of pop those up and give a little support. And then I'm using this Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I really like it. It comes out of the bottle really super fine. I highly recommend it. Everything I have used it on sticks really, really, really great. So I highly recommend that. And last but not least, I'm going to add some gold Heidi Swap Color Shine to each of the embellishment areas. And that's just going to add a little bit more gold, a little more interest, and I really like the way it comes out because it carries that gold from the title, and each of the embellishment areas do have one gold piece in it, but it just kind of carries everything through and gives a little bit more continuity. So I am just about through with the layout here, and would love it if you'd give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for spending time with me. And if you're not a subscriber, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Stick around for the close-ups. They're coming up in just a few moments. Again, thanks for your time, and I will see you guys next time.